Hello everyone, welcome to Everything Bookish. I'm Jasmine and today we are going to talk about Suhail Dev, The King Who Saved India by Amish Tripathi. Before I begin talking to you about the book and discussing about how I felt, I really want to congratulate Amish for collaborating with a bunch of authors, which now he calls as an Immortal Writers Center. And as much as I want to congratulate them, I am sort of disappointed that their names have been kept anonymous. And don't get me wrong, I appreciate and I respect their anonymity, but as writers, I would have really loved to know their names somewhere in the acknowledgement or on the cover itself. But well, it's an Immortal Writers Center book, so that's who we are going to congratulate. Okay, now let's talk about the book. First of all, right off the bat, I want to admit that I had no clue who Suhail Dev was. So through the book, I learnt about a warrior who fought for the motherland. Suhail Dev was an 11th century king at a time when the country was being looted and invaded by the Turks. Setting and the first few pages of the book had me intrigued, and in no time I was hooked onto it. But what did I take away from the book? Let's see. The main character of the book is introduced to us through his Greek god looks, chiseled abs, and the classic being ogled by women while he defeats an overweight wrestler. What is this obsession with looks? Don't we have other ways of defining how fit a character is? Defining someone's chiseled abs does not show us how fit or how athletic a person is. So I really don't understand why such terminology, why such wording is used. So Hail Dev then goes into a self-imposed exile and lives like a bandit to eradicate Turk camps in India. This immediately gave me a deja vu, and I had a immediate parallel in my mind. Do you find some similarities here? One can argue that there isn't any, right? But hear me out. I feel that Suhail Dev has been given some Ram like qualities. Throughout reading the book, I was drawing parallels with the life of Ram as portrayed by Amish himself in the other trilogy of his. And Suhail Dev too has been given Ram like traits. Considering that he is a vigilante and none of the allies of his kingdom know about his whereabouts, how is it possible that the Turks had every information regarding where his troops were? And this is before they had a mole in their team. So it was very difficult for me to digest that someone who's planned every move meticulously um, does not keep his or her allies together. Yeah, being a bandit prince, he goes in at a place, kills all the Turks that are there in the vicinity, and then goes back to his earlier place, cleans everything off just like the Turks, and then moves on to another place. How is it that he was never discovered by the kings of the place where he was? It was very difficult for me to digest that. So throughout the first half of the book, we know that the Turks are aware of a bandit prince, and indications are given that they also know his identity. Something that really irked me was that when the Turks knew the bandit prince's identity, why did they not lure him out? They could have easily instigated a battle in Shravasti and just lured him out because it is his birthplace. And if something happens there, he almost obviously go there to offer his services. And if it was just about killing him, they could have done that very easily, but no, it wasn't done that way. They had to like play a classic game of cat and mice. The characters lacked depth. Each of the characters was either too religious, and I don't mean it in the demeaning way. I am just saying that their motivation was either too religious or too patriotic. While my initial thoughts were bravo, Suheldev has actually managed to unite people together, and that he's actually managed for people to come together and fight for their motherland. Once I started thinking of the story as a whole, I felt it to be a utopian concept. One significant theme of the book is that anyone who's fighting from India's side is doing it for the motherland. Then why some characters, particularly Muslim characters, had to prove their bravado and loyalty time and again? Another character I had huge issues with was Toshni. I admire how talented she was and how great she was at in the field, but oh my goodness, like the sexual undertones in within her character, I could not deal with those. I really could not understand why couldn't she get married to Suheldev. Her reasoning was just out of my understanding, and was there even a reasoning? I just did not find any reasoning at all, which actually is my next point. Why did we have to go through uh, Suheldev and Roshni's so-called love story, which never even was fruitful and did not even add in into the story at all? The larger story that we were dealing with in the book, it did not have any impact. So why did we have to go through that? In my opinion, if the so-called love story would have been done away with and we were given a lot more of insight of Toshni, the warrior, how she became so talented, what sort of training did she undergo, and who was her guru, and stuff like that. And then the camaraderie between Suheldev and Toshni, just like two warriors, not as a woman and a man. I would have enjoyed that, and that would have actually been fruitful for the story as well. I really enjoyed the themes of truthfulness and unity, but one majorly misused theme was of a LGBTQ plus relationship. I have no idea why was that added. While I appreciate it and I was really looking forward to it, once I actually discovered that one of the relationships is LGBTQ plus relationship, I was actually very invested in the story and I wanted to know more about it. Um, but the relationship was mentioned for about 10 pages and then boom, done. We are done with the story. So why was it added? Was it added just because there's a whole discussion going on and you want to be a part of that discussion so that you know your book should be said it is inclusive? I really do not know why was it added. I was so excited to see a representation from the LGBTQ plus community. But again, the relationship as well as like the whole plot line of that relationship lacked depth, and it just left me wondering as to why did we even have that in the first place. Having said that, I am in no way saying that Amish is not a good storyteller. Rather, I would call him a great story shower, because the images that he puts in your mind are really vivid. That's a really great trait to have as a writer. The book was actually a page turner, but it was a problematic book. Well, that's it for the discussion. I might have missed a few points here and there, particularly the parallels that have been drawn between modern and mythological world. But let's keep those for the discussion in the comment sections. Please go ahead in the comment section and let me know what are your thoughts about the book. Have you read it? So, what did you think about the book, and what do you think about my thoughts? If you haven't already read the book, I will have a link of the book in the description box. Please go ahead, buy it, and then come back on this video. Let's have a discussion, and I will see you in the comments section. With that, we come to the end of this video. I will see you guys in my next one very soon. Till then, keep reading.